reseller, but I'm not going to talk about reselling really much today. I'm going to share with you how I got it started into the business realm as a youth. So when I started selling and I started to a business, I didn't know what I was doing. Just happened to be that my I had two brothers and one of them was always going out finding things to do and I would tag along. I was the youngest girl and there were five of us. So wherever my brothers went, I went with them. I wanted to see what they were doing. I was always like that from a little girl. I was very adventurous. So if they went sledding, I went sledding. If they went running, I went running. Whatever they did, if they were working on their bicycles, I would work on a bicycle with them. I just wanted to always do what they were doing. So my older brother, who was about 2 years older than me, he would always go around to find odd and end jobs. So I started in business young. I had to be like 6, 7 years old. He was selling at that time I think newspapers. So when he would go out in the morning, you know how that early morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, people want their newspapers when they wake up. I would get up with him and I would go out and deliver newspapers. That was one of my first businesses. The next we would go out and we would shovel in the winter. So whenever he went out and he found people's driveways or sidewalks to shovel, I would go out with them. So I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years, not knowing that always held interest to me. Now my mother was a business person. She was into the community development as I grew up. So she was always a secretary or a bookkeeper, or she was exceptionally in her didn't understand it was business, but she was exceptional. So I've always been around that going forward mindset of doing something very creative. So as my brothers and I grew up, they started getting more houses as we moved. They would go to the big almost like mansions. These houses were big, and when they went out in the morning, I went out in the morning. They put on 10, 11 gloves, socks. Back then you didn't have but one set of gloves, if you even had gloves, so we would get our socks. So he would go out, he would find houses, he would come back, he would tell the neighborhood kids, "Hey, I got this house and stuff, whoever's in, let's go." And we would shovel. And back then, when it was storms and stuff, like feet of snow, 2, 3 feet of snow, and we as young kids started in team, and we would team up together, take a break, come back. So we started getting customers young. And then as we moved to another neighborhood, then the houses got even bigger. And I remember one house we did, it was humongous. And it took us literally all day. But he didn't give up because we knew that if we did an excellent job shoveling, we that would be a repeat person we could go back to. If it was snowing, if it was newspaper delivery. We lived in one neighborhood, really nice neighborhood, and we would have customers year round. We would be there, and we were young kids. I mean, we were back then, I guess about 11, 12 in that area and stuff, but we've always been into some type of service business of helping people do things. Young, being a candy person in the activities I was involved in, every year we had to sell, or in every season, some type of something to raise money for the drum corps I was in. So we sold candy bars, we sold these kits and stuff where they would have like household things and games and toys and stuff. We were always given a kit. We would do booster. Booster was when you would go to the stores and they would set up a date and we would go in and do fundraising and collect money to help with the expenses of the drum corps. So I've done that most of my life. So being an entrepreneur, as they call it now, um, was always of interest to me. And then hearing my mom talk with my sisters, they were in DECA. I was like, well, what is that? And it was learning about businesses, how to be a business person. And then as we moved in neighborhood, we had went to it was very affluent, and the kids, a lot of the kids in the classes I had, their parents had stores named after their last name, like uh say like a Smith or a Lucibella's or something like that. Those stores, were family owned businesses and the kids grew up in business. So when I went through high school, I started taking business classes, economics in college. I took law, I took all the laws in high school. So I always had that interest for as they say, entrepreneurship now is businesses, business, the trades and stuff like that. I always held a high interest. And then as I grew up more, I began to work for some different men and stuff who own their own businesses. One was a lawyer. He owned no accountant, an accountant. I'm sorry. He was a business owner, and he owned a mobile gas station. Um, then somebody else owned a convenience store. He was from the military, and he bought a when he came back from Germany, he opened a business and it was a convenience store. So I've worked for different people over the years who were business owners, and that just always in me was like, one day I'd like to open a business. I was always fascinated with hot dog vendors, on the corner when we would go to the doctor's office where we live or a couple of towns over, the hot dog person would be out there and every day faithfully, it could be rain, sleet, snow, and shine. That man will be out there with his hot dog cart, taking selling hot dogs. And I always thought that might have been a quick business. I did try it. I ended up vending for almost 8 to 10 years. And so I've been into the vending area and stuff. So if you're interested in doing vending, just drop a comment in there and I'm gonna be doing a class on May the 7th. So you're invited to come. It's gonna be a free class. It's on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna put the link in. If you're interested, just let me know and I'll drop the link. Back to you and stuff. I'm gonna work out this link thing, like I've been saying for a while now. I'm trying to work it out, and unfortunately, I don't know a whole lot of people who deal with this whole internet links and stuff like that. So I tested and tried it, and that's what you have to do, being any kind of business person and a mom or whoever. You younger generation, y'all might know a little more, but teach somebody. Don't be afraid to teach somebody because you'd be surprised how God will bless you and the blessings coming back and stuff. So working out this whole thing for me has definitely been a journey, but I'm not going to give up and I'm not going to give in because one of the things the Lord told me I'm supposed to be teaching people what I've known in my lifetime. And I tell you, it's a blessing and a joy to see that people need this information I'm sharing with you. The economy is changing, and you're gonna need to know how I'm going to make a secondary income, especially when they start changing up the money structure and you see them taking the pennies out of the economy. That's intentional. That's not no play because I heard this over the years they want to get rid of the penny. They want to get rid of the number one. That's a whole no another conversation, but you can't get the 2 without 1. So God is awesome in the way he does things. Man could go but so far, and then they try to just really mess things up, but you are a business person, as I tell you all the time. Everyone's a business person. Then people say, "Well, does everybody wanna go into business?" Imma tell you, every person is a business person, no matter what you say or what you wanna do, because if you go to the store and you do a transaction, guess what? You just did business. But you be encouraged. This is Miss Fern from FML Diversify. Please come back and visit my channel because we're going to really be getting into some things. I love talking to the younger generation, encouraging you that you can be whatever you would want. You just have to have that will, that determination, and that consistency. And now is not the time to be around on this phone and on these computers and get off those games. You become the developer and become a good developer if you're going to do anything because with this whole economics and the AI and the this and the that, you're going to have to know how to go into the marketplace and do business for yourself. But this is Miss Fern again, like I said, from FML Diversify. You have a great and wonderful day, and I will be chatting with you later. Bye bye.